You know, I watched a couple of old movies recently. Movies like Blazing Saddles, Scary Movie 1 and 2. And I sort of realized that that style of humor, it's no longer here. And I think it should be. And yeah, that's why I decided to make this video. So this is completely different. This isn't a review like my usual stuff. I just wanted to make a video just expressing myself and expressing why I feel that today's society has sort of gotten soft in terms of like offensive humor and just ballsy, studios that have long since gone by now. And yeah, so whenever I watched Blazing Saddles, for example, right? Anyone who's watched it, or Spaceballs, know that there's humor in it that is offensive. But what's interesting is if people watched, like say, Blazing Saddles, right, today, or anyone who had watched it growing up, they are going to find it funny. But if a modern movie were to do something like that, it would instantly be like iffy, and maybe even like, slammed. Like, how many times have you seen like a new movie come out and there's something offensive in it and people just run straight to social media and just give it a bollocking? This movie is offensive. This I can't believe they actually had the audacity, and if even one person in the comments says like, I like it, they just get piled on, But then there's some posts that you see on social media about a movie or even television saying this was on, or this came on before 9 o'clock, watershed, and it complained to Ofcom or some shit. And then there's like a big outcry. Like, how many posts have you seen like from TV, like 100 complaints at Ofcom over a little tiny bit of blood, or somebody said like a curse word or cuss word, whatever you want to call it, before 9 o'clock. People say, you can't say that before 9 o'clock. I bet they say it in their own homes though. I bet the kids have heard way worse in their own households than hearing one silly little word on television or in a movie. Like, how many movies have you seen that we grew up with, that we loved, and we see it on TV and we're like, oh wow. And you see they've cut most of either the gore or scenes that they take as offensive. They just cut it out and they just leave like a watered down version of a movie. That's what I don't get. I feel, personally, I think movies should be offensive. They should have that grit. And studios should be more ballsy and just push past all of the snowflakes. Because let's face it, today's society, it's gotten soft. It has. And I feel that censoring things like that. Now, I'm not saying that movies should be insulting people. That's not what I'm saying. I just mean that a joke is a joke. People need to start taking them as jokes and not be offended by them. They're just words and it's all fiction. I don't understand why people would get offended by something that's been written in a script and said by an actor. I don't get it. I don't understand. And it's because people get offended by that movies are being watered down. Studios are not wanting to take that ballsy approach in case they offend people. And, you know, the fact is that making it more family-friendly movies and less offensive movies is more, you know, pleasing to, you know, the overall worldwide, you know, viewers and audience. And it's the safest option. But, you know, personally, I just genuinely believe that we should be making offensive movies and push past, you know, people who say, like, I don't know, he said the word fuck. Oh my God, this is profanity. Oh my God. You know, just push past it and say fuck a couple more times. Because that's the only way we're gonna get, like, old school movies back, you know. That's what I think, you know. Like I said, I watched, like, the first Scary Movie, right? And the amount of, like, the amount of jokes that are all funny, and it is an awesome movie, and we all know it. It's a cult classic, you know. And the amount of jokes in it that are, like, say, dirty or offensive or, you know, and they got away with it back then, and it worked. You know, I saw an article saying about the original American Pie movie, that it's bad for today's youth, and do you see what I mean? Just think of that for a second. Yet that movie, because of the steps it took, because the balls they had to do what they did in that movie, say what they wanted to say, it became instantly successful. Because people like that. You know, not everybody is offended. There are some of us out there who want that, who, that's what, you know, we like that. You know, it shows balls, it's genuinely funny if done right. But yeah, a movie that was so successful back then, spawned multiple sequels, good and bad, but yet today, in today's society, they're putting up posts saying, American Pie is bad for today's youth, and and if you look at the comments, you know, it's really good when you see some people in the comments, it's like blasting it, saying, like, well, this generation needs to harden up, you know, this is what we watched back in our days, this was our shit, you know, and we ran with it, we glorified it. You know, but today's society is just trying to, like, if today's society had, now not everybody, but some people, like the snowflakes in general, if they had their way, think of all of the movies they would just wipe out of existence. American Pie, probably Scary Movie 1 and 2. Probably wipe them away because there's probably something in there that would offend them, and they would just happily banish it from existence. So I'm worried that in 10 years, 20 years time, they're gonna have their way. What if that was a reality? You know, and they complain, and studios and governments succumbed to it and said, they're right, it is too offensive. We need to completely take this movie off all streaming services. You know, obviously they can't get rid of DVDs and VHSs from back in the day, but, you know, that's what I'm worried about, and that's the approach I feel that could happen, is possible in 10, 20 years time, if, you know, snowflakes get their way, is what I'm saying. You know, and I don't want that, and I just feel studios and, you know, creators in general should just be pushing forward, push that so it doesn't happen. And yeah, like I said, I'm not saying that I want movies to attack people. A joke is a joke. Full stop. That's all I'm saying. I mean, since when did human beings stop taking jokes? I don't get it, you know? You know, and that's why I fear that censoring and, you know, watering down movies and not taking that ballsy step, I feel in general, is weakening a generation. I mean, back in the day, like in the 70s, Blazing Saddles, how many people watched that back then? And they had, they had thick skin. They could take a joke, they could make a joke, and it was funny back then. That's where I would love for movies to come back to. And I know there is the odd movie out there that comes out, it tries to, take that approach. But there's some movies that, they tease that they're gonna go there, and then they pull back. And you're like, oh, come on. Because they didn't have the balls to go through with it, because they didn't want to offend people. And then have an outcry on social media. But, yeah, overall, guys, I just wanted to make this video just expressing myself, and yeah, like I said, I don't want movies to attack people. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want people to be insulted, directly, to hurt people. No. I just want movies to be able to be movies again. And if they want to be offensive, let them be offensive. If they have, I'm a huge fan of dark humor. Love it. And I grew up with horror movies too. And, I didn't turn into a serial killer, end up in prison. So, people who say that it's bad for the youth of today, no, it isn't. How did we cope back in the day? From the 90s, all the 90s kids, even the 80s. Shit, even the 70s. How did we all cope? We turned out all right. So, they'll turn out all right. But yeah, overall, guys, I just wanted to make this video expressing myself, and yeah. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think? I mean, do you think, dark humor and, movies should be offensive? Now, I don't mean like a whole movie just being offensive. I mean a movie that has the odd offensive joke in it. Just throw in the odd one, the odd bit of dark humor. That's what I think anyway. And like I said, there are the odd movies out there that do go far, like, if you're gonna go gore-wise, Terrifier, And people love that. Like, not everyone, you do see the odd person like, it's too gory for me, it's glorifying violence. No, it isn't. It's fiction. It's a movie, it's an actor. People sometimes forget the difference between fiction and reality. But yeah, overall, let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think? Do you think we should have that, or do you think it's fine the way it is? Do you think maybe I'm just asking too much? Or maybe, let me know in the comments and we'll talk about it. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I wholeheartedly appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you. And, well, you know the score. Don't kill anyone. That's probably going to offend somebody.